Welcome back to part 2, hatching brine shrimp. Well, obtaining the little guys. We're going to look at them here in a bit. You know, I saw yesterday's video and I thought, there's a couple of points I missed in there I should be making. So let's do that. First one, I was talking about the bottle that I use. This is what it looks like when you order from Amazon. Although the cap's not on there, but when you screw it on there again, it's got that white ring on there. And it clicks in and it stays. When you open it up, it would leave that white ring, but if you don't, it seals up real good. I make a hole in here, and I use the scissors then to cut around there, and I leave that lip. If we look at the bottles that I'm using right now, you'll notice I leave a lip here that kind of keeps the water from spilling out of it. I use just a little paper punch, and I punch a hole on each side, and I use some plastic tie things. Plastic works the best. Everything else gets real corroded from the salt. Any kind of metal or anything, you can't use it. So plastic, and even that gets junked up after a while because you need to use hard water for this is the best. And to clean that, by the way, I use vinegar. And then I soak it in there for a while, and then it'll come clean again like that. So, but I rinse it out real well and make sure that there's no residue or anything, and then let it dry completely. And that's the same too. If you ever, you shouldn't get used to using any kind of soap anywhere near your aquarium ever. But if you have something out in a sink, a filter, you're washing it, you probably could, as long as you clean it good and rinse it really good and let it dry completely, and just make sure there's no soap. That can be really detrimental to fish. Sugar is real bad in water too. An aquarium I had in the store one time, some kids came along and dumped some Starburst into an aquarium, and it killed all the fish in there within a half an hour before anybody could even really notice. So really, really bad when you put sugar into an aquarium. Never, ever, ever. Anyway, let me bring that up. A little sore spot there, I guess I never got over that. So today, anyway, we're going to now harvest. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything else. Well, one other thing I did mention was the salt. You can't use house salt or table salt. You could use kosher salt or pickling canning salt, because that doesn't have any iodine in it. Table salt has iodine in it, and that'll kill the little monkeys here. So this salt that I use is called Instant Ocean. You buy that at a pet store, and that actually is the salt that turns it into kind of like ocean water, regular salt water. So that's what I use when I hatch these guys out. They do say that you can use, as I said, coarse salt, kosher salt, baking salt, or salt that doesn't have any iodine in it, which would be all of the salt except for those that are used at the table. Table salt has iodine in it. Gee, that salt it gets on the hands. It's like there's something really, yucky about that. I don't know, it feels weird. It gets this layer of salt on the hands. Anyway, we'll get some water and some off here in a bit. So that was the thing I always thought I should mention too, is I use that kind of a salt from the pet store. That bag there lasts forever, for making these. It's 1 cup of that to a gallon of water. I think it was a cup. Better double check on that. Maybe half a cup, now that I think about it. Hold the phone. Well, you don't have it right in here. I do believe it's a half a cup. We better clear that up, straighten that out. Somebody's going to say, hey. There it is, half a cup. Half a cup of that salt in a gallon of water. And again, you got to use hard waters. The water to use, it's got to have a higher pH. So that's hard water. If you use rainwater, it would be too low a pH, and that's not going to be as... You get some hatch, but it won't be as good. So you want to use regular tap hard water. You could use spring water, Spring water is kind of like a hard water in a way. It's not as hard as some of the well waters, but it's got minerals and elements in it and stuff, So you could use that. Anyway, so let's get on with it. We're going to harvest some shrimp. One of the first things we got to do is go grab one of those do-it-yourself hatcheries. So hang on a second, I'll get it. All right. Here it is. So remember yesterday we had this, we put it all together. Now you can kind of see an orange tint in here. I hope you can kind of see that. But that's all of the brine shrimp. So now what we're going to do, this is going to take a little bit. We're going to hang it here. And then these are, what do they call them, photo something. It's, I'm going to put a light up on the bottom of this, a flashlight, and shine that right on the bottom of this container. Yeah, about like that there. And then, well, the other thing, we're going to siphon them out of there. The live ones are going to sink down and form a little nice orange layer down in here. And the hatched shells will float to the top, so they'll separate. What I want to do, and I got a hard rod again into a thingamajob here. I'm going to stick that, I'm going to do that early, because in doing so I've disturbed some of those shells up there that went down. Now they'll get a chance to float up too. So I'll set that aside. One of the other things then that I use for this process, you can get this on Amazon. This is actually used, or meant to be used, these two nets, for this very purpose. What we're going to be doing is sending everything that I siphon out of there through net number 1 first. It'll go into, well, then we'll take it all upstairs after I get it all in here, and we're going to put it into the sink. And I'll be able to flush it out of net 1. What will stay in net 1, though, will be the shells. The shrimp will go into net 2, and they'll stay in there because it's a more fine mesh that they can't get out of, but the water will rinse through. So these are meant just for this purpose, by the way. And they're available on Amazon. Just so happens that a gallon ice cream bucket, when I put that little thing up, holds it in place right there even. That's kind of slick. Just by accident. Worked, you know. So anyway, the other thing then we could look at real quick here. I'm going to shut this light off. How bad does that get? Probably pretty bad. I better bring you over here. We could look at a couple of other things here. Yeah. Get you back to where the tanks are and stuff here. Well, I'll come back a little more. Get you a little better look-see here. All right. Wow, geez, that really climbed back there, didn't it? We better come up a notch. So anyway, so that's the one that we took down there, and this one's still hanging. We'll grab that one as soon as that other one is out of the way and done. What else was it? I was going to show you something else over here. Darn if I can remember what that was. Something about the shrimp, though. Well, anyway, oh, this. Got it. We'll be looking at this upstairs too, though it might even be better to see it up there's more light. But I have these little vials. They have little caps for them. And once I consolidate those shrimp and get them all rinsed through there and get them all gathered and collected in that final net, I'll be using a dropper, big old dropper like that guy, sucking it out of there and putting it into those, and then we'll put them into the freezer and we'll save them. Now this is going to be kind of fun though, because what I always like to do with one of those vials out of this nice fresh hatch stuff that's all live, I'm going to dump one into this big tank, and we'll get the camera up there closer and watch how these guppies, oh, do they like them when they're fresh and still alive. Woo. Oh, they snarf them up pretty good when they're frozen too. But so anyway, I think we'll run this upstairs. We'll check on that bag. Doesn't take very long to get them settled down, and then we'll come back. As a matter of fact, I think when we come back, I'll have you upstairs ready to go. I'll get the stuff up there. I don't think there's much I should show you over there necessarily. Thinking about it here again now. Yeah, what the heck, I might take you over there. Just hang on a second. That guy can't decide. We're back. I don't know if you can see it or not. I think you can kind of, but these shrimp have really settled out down here. Big group of orange down here. Although normally I'd be letting these sit a little longer, but I'm under a little time constraint here, so it's good to go now, because most of the shells are up on the top. So now, I'm going to do this and try not to swallow a bunch of that salt water. I've never really done that. Got some in my mouth though. Let's go for the Listerine right away. There it comes though. You see, I don't have a long thing. I gotta move it in a hurry, you know. There it is. I think yep, we got it. So you can see now it's going to rapidly drain that. I'm pulling all that live shrimp out of there, coming down into here. And that's it. That right there. Now, we're going to run that up and process that, but while we're doing that, I got to go for jar number 2 and get that sitting up here real quick. There we go. This one looks delightful as well, very orangish. So that'll be our next one. And now, I'm going to take us upstairs and be able to see what's going on there. Oh, yeah. In the kitchen, get some water in. I'm going to have to get in the way a little bit. Shoot, I hope I guess I'm right-handed and I put it on the wrong side. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work this way. Anyway, you can see there's an orangish tint to that stuff in there, and now from this point I'm going to start to rinse it through, and then I just drop part of it into the water, which is actually not a problem because I'll just put that back into the net and catch that stuff that's spilt out of there. That happened before. Not going to lose any. So now we'll start in here. As I spray this, it'll concentrate just the shrimp in the net below. See if we get a look at that here in a minute too. It's very orange down there. And what's still in this net here is probably a few unhatched eggs and some shells probably too. A little bit like watching paint dry. We'll be done in a second. I'm going to dump this water out of this big bucket. So I just do this till I get mostly all of the orange out of there. Just getting there. I'm kind of going to do this a little quicker than probably what I would have, so we can get the demonstration going and moving along a little better here. It does take a little bit of patience to do this stuff. To get the best out of it anyway. We'll go with that. I don't know how many vials I'll get with that, but we'll see here. And the vials I'm talking about are these little guys. Amazon. Got a little cap on them, you know. Well, you'll see in a minute what we do here. Because we're getting there. Now I'm going to rinse this off here a little bit. Get the remaining, some of the salt off of there. It's not a huge thing. This is a little bit of salt that remains in there, so we'll get some of that off. Stir that around, get the water out of there quicker. I don't know if you can see it or not, it shows, but it's really a very orange product here. Just all little brine shrimps, little sea monkeys. There's probably a million of them in there. I don't know how many, but a lot. Like just tiny little microscopic things, practically. I mean, if they were swimming in an aquarium, you'd be able to see them with your naked eye, probably. Maybe if you look pretty close. Well, you will see them. They'd be moving around us, jumping around a bit. You're going to see them. I'm going to dump one in there. All right. Make sure I get in too much water into what I'm putting away here. Mixing that up. And then I'm just going to fill these vials up to the top with this. I leave a little room because it freezes and expands a little bit. That way it'll have some room to do that. Some of these vials are a little thicker than others. I kind of have to redo it a little bit here halfway through. Thin it out a little bit again. I like to make it so it lasts. And boy, I tell you what, if you put a real thick dropper of it in there, I don't know if you can see it, but if you put a real thick dropper of shrimp in there, and those are pretty thick there, but not, I could have it thicker. And that's a lot of shrimp going into a tank. It's like probably way more than you need. So now I'm going to cap all these. And one of them. Take a look at them in a moment here. Normally I get 10. I think I might have rushed this one along a little bit. Just for you guys. But that's alright. So we still got a pretty good hatch here. Let's see how many more. I don't think there's going to be 5, but there may be another 3. So that's what we'll go with. Throw a little water in there. Sometimes I like one that isn't quite as full as the others. If I'm just trying to supplement in the afternoon a little bit with some, I don't want a real dense one. So I'll have some in there like that I can see. Well, we got 8 for sure on that, so that's not too bad. Usually I get 10, 11 or 12 is when they got really good, where everything was just right. Might have been a little, you know, I put those in there yesterday before that water had a chance to really get right up where it needed to be, probably, so. All right. That's it for that one. And then I'm going to go to the freezer, be right back. Amazon. Like I say, you get these vials and it comes with this little plastic holder thingamajig, and these are some from a past time. This is why I knew I needed to get some going, because I don't like to get too low. So then I rotate them, and by the way I have it sitting in the freezer, not a little anal of course, but by the way I have it sitting in the freezer, I know which end I should be using, so that's what I do. Alright, hang on now. We're going to go down. I think that's pretty much what you need to see. It's just going to be rinse and repeat on that other one, so there wouldn't be anything new to show you there. But what could be fun, though, is to watch the fish go after this. So let's go do that. I'll take this stuff back down here for that other one. This can stay up here. Yeah, sure. And we'll see it. Here we are. Well, you know what? I got to adjust this a little more. That gets you down here to fish heaven. All right. Now let's. I want to get even a little closer. I wonder what we got to do to make this be okay. I think that looks all right. Oh, they're mostly going to probably be over on this side, though, so we better flip it over here a little bit. All right, so we're going to throw some brine shrimp into this. See my finger? Where's my finger? I might have to tip you up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, dear. All right. You guys ready? I don't know if I'm asking you for the fish, but here you go. All right. I pour it into this little jobber here. And watch these guys start going. Those are all little brine shrimp in there, and boy, do they love those things. And give them some more. They will eat on that stuff until it's not a bit of it left in the tank. They love that stuff. And we got a couple of babies in this other tank, so we'll throw some in this one here. They like a little. There we go. So we got that. Good. I'll throw some of this water. I'm talking to myself, you guys, while you're watching there. I'm cleaning out one of these filter things with another aquarium here. Anyway, so that's how the brine shrimp goes. You can see that they love that stuff. They just absolutely die for it. And then when they're eating it too, they look so nice. Their fins are all up. The colors are really strong. They feel really good right now. They're eating good. The water's good. Everything's good. It's just so much fun to see. They really look nice. I hate to take them to the store sometimes. And I don't take every one of them. Some I hold back for use for future breeding because they're so nice. I have one male in here in particular, though, that I've used quite a bit now, but here he's over here. He's on retirement. See if I can get him to come down. Oh, come on down, buddy. Oh, he's up on the back now. Really pretty big tail. Here he comes, right in front of my finger. I don't know if you can see him or not, but he's right there. Very pretty. Oh, he's just gorgeous. Big top fin. He's really showing off for you right now. Huge long top fin, big tail, really pretty. So he's been with the ladies on a couple of occasions. I'm trying to promote that book. That's what's kind of fun about it. I just buy a bunch of hot guppies and fancy guppies, and they all have a type, but I put them together, and then we kind of get a bunch of new stuff that people haven't seen before. Well, hey, thanks for watching. That'll probably do it for this time. That's how you do brine shrimp. That's how I do it. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything, but I can't really think of it. So stay tuned for the next episode, because I think on that one, we're finally going to get around to doing that breeding trap, that breeding box. Some assembly required, but I got that kind of looked over, so we'll get into that, I think, on the next one, tomorrow probably. Till then, thanks for watching. Have a good night.